Welcome back. New at 5:30, the story of the little train that could one day provide a jolt to California's renewable energy industry. One major drawback to wind and solar energy is that it's not available on a 24/7 basis. You're at the mercy of the wind and the sun. But what if you could store wind and solar power using a rail car, a box full of rocks, and the power of gravity, kind of like hydroelectric power on rails? That concept has now been proven on a set of tracks in the Tehachapi Mountains. On a tiny test track in the Tehachapi foothills, a remotely controlled rail car carrying a 4-ton concrete pad moves quietly uphill. The electric motors inside the vehicle, turning the wheels, are powered by a diesel generator. It's using electricity to go uphill, but when it comes back down, the motors become generators themselves, and the vehicle produces electricity.
An induction motor and an induction generator are the same physical piece of equipment operating in reverse.
This is the proving ground for a new technology called Advanced Rail Energy Storage, or ARES. Developed over the last 3 years by entrepreneur Bill Pitsky and engineer Matt Brown, ARES is designed to fulfill a crucial role in the renewable energy industry: energy storage, enabling green energy to be grid ready even when the wind isn't blowing and the sun isn't shining.
These resources are very intermittent, and so because of their intermittency, they need a component of storage to go with them to allow the grid to operate reliably.
For centuries, the best way to store energy and then produce it has been using water and gravity. But for environmental and other reasons, the West's appetite for new hydroelectric power projects has declined. But what if you use gravity to pull heavy loads down a railroad track to return stored electricity to the power grid? Pitsky and Brown have integrated locomotive and other technologies to create rail energy storage. This pilot project in Tehachapi has been peer-reviewed. The technology developed by Pitsky and Brown recently patented by the U.S. government. They say ARES could unlock the full potential of green energy.
People have called it the Holy Grail, and they've been searching for it for decades now, and we think we have the answer.
A utility-scale ARES project would look something like this: multiple railroad tracks stretching some 4 miles uphill. During periods where excess energy from a wind farm or solar power facility is available, a fleet of traction drive shuttle trains operating on a closed rail network transport concrete boxes full of rocks, 230 tons each, uphill against the force of gravity to a storage yard, climbing some 3,000 feet in elevation. The boxes are offloaded, the rail cars return to the bottom of the hill. When the winds are calm or the sun isn't shining, but there's still demand for electricity, the process is reversed. The shuttle trains, pulled by the force of gravity, return the boxes to the lower storage yard, their motors operating as generators, creating electricity which is transmitted from the railroad tracks back to the power grid.
We don't create electricity, we store electricity. We actually use more electricity than we can return. We're like a battery, and we only return about 85% of the energy that we're given to store. That's what our losses are, but that's one of the most efficient energy storage technologies in the world.
With zero emissions and a relatively small environmental footprint, Pitsky says energy storage facilities like this could help further wean the world from fossil fuels.
Being able to deploy an efficient, cost-effective grid-scale storage technology that does not rely on water, that has multiple siting opportunities, a less complicated environmental permitting and regulatory review process, really is the Holy Grail because it allows for everything that comes behind it.
So, what are industry insiders saying about ARES? We reached out to wind power pioneer Jim Dielson, who founded Zahn Corporation in 1980 and built some of the first wind turbines in Kern County. He says the rail-based energy storage concept is right on track in making renewable energy more reliable and less intermittent, stabilizing the power grid and reducing the chances for cascading events that lead to blackouts.
I think they've done an excellent job. The engineering is really very good. They've developed proprietary technology with patents, which is an important factor in being able to get financing for these kind of projects. You know, there's really no kind of black box involved. It's more taking things that are out there now and putting it together in an intelligent way and being able to deploy fairly quickly. That's a genius, this deal.
Pinsky and Brown have won over other industry insiders. In fact, they've begun the permitting process to build their first grid-scale 50-megawatt energy storage facility in Nye County, Nevada, storing the equivalent of enough energy to power roughly 50,000 homes. Conceivably, energy storage systems could become force multipliers for wind and solar power plants, expanding their generating capacity across the western United States.